Some people are still on the phone while driving, despite of potential dangers. Talking on the phone while driving always demands several thinking processes, even hands-free. This can be dangerous, so how can it be made safer? Previous research pointed out that sharing information about the context of the driver with the other caller causes more focus on the driver's context and less distraction while driving. The caller can see and interpret the situation of the driver, comment on it, and look ahead on the road. However, what we don't know is whether video is the only effective medium. Is it possible to convey this information through audio? To answer this question, we'll discuss how sharing of sounds affects the remote caller's perception of the driver's busyness, whether this subsequently affects the conversation pattern, and whether this leads to relatively better driving performance. We'll discuss the motivation behind these questions, the research methods, and performed experiments. So why would you choose audio signals instead of video? Well, the video material causes some challenges. For example, it's easy to overlook video, it's not always available, and it disturbs the driver's privacy. On the contrary, audio signals have advantages. In contrast to a picture or visual stimulus, sound is hard to miss because it is not tied to a specific location that you need to attend. Also, it's easy to integrate with phone calls as people already communicate through sound. To answer the research questions, we conducted a study using a driving simulator, as you can see here. The remote caller talked to the driver over a headset. While they talked, the driver was driving, and occasionally driving sounds and heartbeat sounds were shared with the remote caller to provide context cues of the driver's situation. The drivers were put on a heartbeat monitor and a device to measure skin conductance. After each trial, participants rated their experience, and at the very end, they also filled out a general questionnaire. Now back to the research questions. Does sharing of sounds affect the remote caller's perception of the driver's busyness? Indeed, it did. The callers thought the drivers were more busy when driving sounds were shared compared to when no driving sounds were shared. The callers got a more accurate perception of how busy the driver was. Does this perception of busyness subsequently affect the conversation pattern? Well, the results were not consistent in this part of the research. Callers sometimes spoke less, but not always. One interpretation was that our callers perhaps did not know how to react to a busy driver and how to adapt their conversation to support the driver. Last but not least, does this perception of busyness lead to a relatively better driving performance? Sometimes improvement was noted, but this was not consistent across two experiments. Therefore, we cannot conclude that the caller's perception of busyness led to better driving performance. To conclude, audio seems to have an effect on perceived busyness. However, it looks like the callers don't know how to respond to it. Therefore, the driver's performance does not get better. So remember, be safe and postpone your calls when you're on the road.